You are listening to The Spoken Thread, where stories are stitched into every product. I'm Lex, your host, and together we are following the thread that ties us all together. This is the very first episode of The Spoken Thread, and it is a very special one. Today we're going to be sitting down with my mom, Lashelle Johnson, who is the CEO of Omega Global Development. Today we're going to share the story of how it was created, where the vision came, where the inspiration came, and how we are going to continue that story through African Impact Marketplace. Grab a cup of your favorite drink, sit back, and let's unravel the threads together. Well, hello, Mom.
Hi.
Thank you for coming on our podcast.
Oh, you're welcome.
So I'll start with my first question. Can you tell us about what you've done in Africa, like what you have accomplished? Just kind of give us a little overview. Who are you? And then I'll explain who I am.
I am currently the CEO of Omega Global Development, which is a faith-based 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are headquartered here in Cleveland, Ohio, and our mission is to transform communities. And we do it through our faith and through our core values that are very important to us. Who am I in the midst of that? I am a person that is committed to bringing the resources to people so that they, in their own communities, can help us to better serve them. We have always been focused on Africa. Africa was the idea of having a nonprofit, as you know, came to me when you all were small and homeschooling, and you were sitting at the table doing your studies, and I was putting down this vision of this nonprofit that initially back then was to meet the needs of pastors and leaders that we saw who didn't have resources to do the work that they were doing. And it started actually with a picture that I saw on a web page of a church there with no doors, no windows, and no roof. And I sent that pastor an email in Rwanda. I didn't know who he was, but I said to them, how can I put this window and door and roof on your church? And so we were able to actually do that, and that church is blooming and has blossomed into a church that is impacting not only its church, but they have spread out to other churches. So Africa has always been, from the very beginning, the place that I knew we would be serving. Since then, we have been there. We've done sports camps and workshops, and I was ordained in the churches there. You went there to live for a couple years and teach in the schools. And we have a relationship now in 5 countries that we are presently serving. We have done initiatives in 8 countries. But our goal is, once we help them to meet their needs, that they become self-sufficient, and then we can move to the next community. Right. And so we've been able to do that in 2 countries and move on.
Right.
So that's been my role, to facilitate that, as we are now in our 4th year, and we have reached over 1,000 people and 35 communities. So that is who I am, and that hopefully I can, if I had to sum it up in one word, I'm a servant to the people that we are trying to reach.
Yeah. And I'm her daughter. So I was bestowed with the awesome gift to cultivate African Impact Marketplace. It's kind of like a shared dream that we both had, to be able, well, for her, it's the dream to be able to share the stories. And I also share that dream, but I've always wanted to have a little store. So that's always just been very exciting for me. I remember one of my first toys was a cash register. And I've had so many. I love the process of just getting things and sharing things things and selling things. And so that's always just really been on my heart. I actually have a degree in ethnomusicology, which is the study of music around the world. And so when I got the opportunity to go to Zambia for the nonprofit, I was able to do so much research and just learn so many beautiful things. Yes, music, but also of their art and of their clothes. And I was so immersed that I just brought it back to her and said, there's some incredible things. And so that's just really how it formed. And, we did vendors tables, and we were able to sell a lot of things that just reminded me of those things and resembled those beautiful handcrafted things. Us walking through the streets of the market and seeing all those things. We just want to recreate that. We want to recreate that for you all. When you go to our store or come to our tables, we want you to feel that feeling of going through those streets and just seeing beauty and handcraftedness and the hard work that the people have put into the items and the products. We want to share that with you. So, Mom, do you remember where the idea for African Impact Marketplace came from?
Well, it kind of evolved out of what we've done with Omega. Throughout our journey and spending time with women in Africa and hearing their stories and meeting their needs, it became apparent that we needed to do more to give them a voice, to give them a place where they could not only express themselves, but they could feel ownership for their lives and their communities. It kind of evolved from our Agricultural Women's Initiative that we did.
I remember that.
Yeah, we gave those 10 women money during the pandemic, and they were able to plant seeds and to take those goods to market and become entrepreneurs. So as a result of that, they were able to feed their families and their communities. And so between that and then, if you remember when we had the women's conference and the women came, and I walked into the room and there were all these women sitting at sewing machines. It was like 10 sewing machines, and they were sewing through the entire evening to make the uniform for the women.
Right.
And I began to think then, how could we help these women to not only use these skills in order to become entrepreneurs, but be able to take that money and literally enhance their own lives, their homes, and their communities.
Right.
So it was at that point that I thought we need to put something in place. And then being an artist and an artisan myself, I knew that I had skills and things that we could bring to the table in order to make that happen. And out of that, we started our tables, our vendors tables, and it has grown exponentially. And as a result of that, here we are with African Impact Marketplace.
So like you were saying, the nonprofit was doing these initiatives, they were helping women, they were enriching their lives. What gap do you think that AIM is filling instead of the nonprofit? Is it like, are we taking that over? Are we in place with, are we coming under that? Are we our own thing? Like, explain a little bit further how AIM differs from Omega.
AIM is its own entity. The gap that it's filling is that we can take this into places where we may not necessarily be able to take a nonprofit.
Right.
Because in certain countries and certain places, for instance, we work in the Gambia, which is a Muslim country, there are always times and seasons changing in terms of what nonprofits can do. But as a marketplace, it will open doors for us that the nonprofit may not necessarily allow us to walk through. The other thing is Africa is blossoming, and as a result of that, we have opportunities to invest.
Right.
And AIM is more of an investment into the communities. Our goal is to open AIM community centers where women can come. We've talked about that in Kenya, where women will be able to come and sit down and make their jewelry.
Right.
They'll be able to make their goods. And then from there, it not only serves as a purpose for production, but it'll also serve as a community center.
Right.
And in that setting, we can teach, we can have workshops, we can bring American and artisans from around the world to come and to share with them and to learn from them. So it can even be a cooperative where we can work together and we can share. So AIM has possibilities, and I'm always talking about how can we turn potential into possibility.
Right.
AIM will allow us to do that.
Right. And so, like you mentioned, American artisans and involving other people. How exactly do you see us collaborating with people that are not African people? Is it just for African people? Are other people allowed to come in? Or, what's the scope?
We're looking for the African diaspora. It doesn't matter if they're African or if we are from in the diaspora from different countries. We're looking for people who share a similar history, a similar experience, and that we can come together. And one of the most exciting things about AIM is that we'll be able to bring those experiences together, not only in terms of relationship and conversation, but in terms of art, in terms of music. We don't know what that will eventually spread to, but it's a cultural exchange. But at the same point, we're bringing our cultural commonality to the table, and we can learn from each other. And I'm really excited about those tables where we can sit down and we can share our skills and our experiences, and just to see what it eventually will become.
Glad you said that, because I don't know if the people have noticed, but we are not African. We are African American. So why have we chosen to help these African people as African Americans?
Well, then I think you have to talk about, and I have to go back to Omega for a minute, because Omega evolved out of a desire that I had as a child, and a story my grandmother told me about our heritage in Africa. Because we're fortunate to be one of those families that has the oral history. We know what the slave ship was that we came over. We know the names of our ancestors that came from Africa. We have that story. So for me, Africa has always been a part of who I am. It has been a part of my academic work. It's been a part of my art. It's been a part of everything that I've done. So it's been a natural progression for us in order to do what we're doing. Having been there, and the time that we've spent there with the people and hearing their stories, I realized that there's a story there that we here need to hear. Because we're all pieces of each other. And so as a result of that, bringing those pieces together can only enrich not only us as African Americans, but it can enrich them as well. And when we bring that together, that's something that nobody has seen. No one will be able to predict what that will be in the long term. But as African Americans, we call it the motherland. But the reality of it is, it literally is the birth of who we are as a people. So I think AIM will be more than just selling jewelry or clothing or household items. I think AIM will be our language. It will allow us to speak to each other in ways that maybe we don't know our different dialects, but we'll be able to exchange our culture, our heritage, and yet put that together in something that is meaningful and something that we can invest in. And the ultimate purpose of this is to help someone else. Because our goal is to share the love of Jesus Christ in what we do. That is the ultimate goal.
That makes a lot of sense. So for these African women specifically, what do they mean to you?
That's a really good question. I have a heart for these women because as a single mom raising 5 children on my own, I understand some of the struggles that these women are enduring in their situation and in their lives. I have wept with other women in similar situations as mine. We've seen our mirrored reflection in each other. So, like for instance, the woman in South Sudan who has the one dress. that she washes over every single day, because of the war-torn history there and the situations that are there. The women, I met a woman that a few days before that, her husband had been killed on the road, and she found herself now trying to take care of her 3 children by herself. There are countless stories that we have heard and situations where we've seen where, in looking at those women, the heart of God within us has allowed us to reach out to them.
Right.
They are our sisters in Christ, but they are also our sisters in life experiences.
Yeah.
And so it means everything to me. Not only that, the young girls that we are helping, putting forth curriculum for them so that they can have self-esteem in the village, where they don't have the resources that we have. The women that we're making baby bags for in the remote islands in the Gambia, where we give them medical supplies that don't exist for them. Those are the stories that keep me up at night.
Yeah.
So there's a greater responsibility, I feel, and it's a calling that God has placed upon our entire family.
Yeah.
In order to reach out to people who don't have everything that we have in a Western society, in a Western culture. So for me, they are the reason that we exist.
Yeah. So what values do you hope to pass on by doing this work? Because we are a family company, we're a family nonprofit, we have, relatives and friends and all of these people coming to do the work. What are we trying to pass down? What's the legacy?
I think the legacy that we are passing down is that we represent a Savior who has a heart for people.
Yeah.
It's beyond just our programs and our initiatives. Heidi Baker says, reaching the one. It literally is our desire to reach the one, to reach one person at a time, to uplift one community at a time, to educate one child at a time. And we've been blessed to do that. We have college scholarship programs we're putting in place now. We have elementary schools that we're building, orphanages that we're helping to build and help children to have a better future. That's all our values.
Right.
That's, we go by our core values at Omega, and I think that transfers over into what we're doing in AIM. But we are trying to reach one, to teach one, because we are a people who are compassionate and loving, and some of the things that we don't see now around us as much, that we can love people that we don't know, that we can reach people that we wouldn't necessarily reach every single day. But it's the love of Christ that allows us to move forward and to be able to say, whatever I have, you also have it. If I don't have it, I'll find it.
Right.
You can have my shirt, but if I don't have the shirt, we'll order one through AIM.
Right.
And make sure that you have that shirt. So I think that's the basic core value, is to reach one, to love one, to take care of one.
Right.
Because really, when I'm taking care of the one, I'm taking care of me.
Right. And I think that, like you said, that works so well with AIM, because it's not just about buying products. It's not just about saying, hey friend, can I have that so I can sell it to my American friends? It's about having a story. It's about investing into someone's dreams, investing into someone's community, investing into people so they can live in abundance, just like we have. It comes in 2 levels, I think, and you can kind of piggyback off of this. Is that, the one level of us being grateful for what we have, and also wanting to share that You know, we have to have both of those aligned, because if we say, you know, we need more, we have to have more, oh, look at us, woe is me, and yet these people are suffering as much as they are, we wouldn't be able to give so easily and so openly unless we realize how much God has blessed us. It's also realizing that our purchases are going to help someone. It's not just for our own personal gain. It's having that humility, it's having that gratefulness that I can buy something beautiful for my home, but that money is going to someone else. It is going to have someone else be better, have someone else, you know, grow and be able to take care of their family. So like, how do you feel that the business will be able to kind of keep that in the forefront and not just think about profits and making as much money as we can? How are we going to keep that balance?
Well, the business is really a storytelling tool. We will be telling their stories. When you purchase anything from AIM, you will be reading the story of someone, the artisan or the people or the country. You'll be reading about the women that are tie-dyeing the sheets. You'll be reading about the young girl that's crocheting the outfits. And you'll get to hear her story. You'll get to see videos on our site of the artisans actually making these things. And you'll see us over in Africa sitting with them as they make those things, and as we're interviewing them and finding out their stories, as we're eating with them and spending time with them. You'll see us telling the story at the vendors' tables and relaying the needs of the people that are there. I'm especially invested in the story.
Yeah.
I want the stories to be told so that when you have a necklace, for instance, this necklace that I have here was made in Africa by one of the artisans. I know when I'm wearing this that it's not just a beautiful piece of jewelry, it's actually something that has now lifted a community or lifted a person,
right,
or helped a woman to take care of her family or feed her family.
Right.
That's the forefront of what it is that we're trying to do. And that is the goal. We want people to feel that this is not just a regular purchase,
right,
but this is your part. You are sharing in the investment.
Right.
And so now you can feel like I have contributed to this place and this community. That's why we'll be inviting people to travel with us.
Yes.
Come to see the artisans. Come with us on those trips. We don't want you just to be a consumer. We want you to be a compassionate investor.
Absolutely.
So that you can feel like you're a part of what we're doing. AIM is not just a store, it's a movement.
Yes.
And we want people to be a part of this movement so that we can all make a difference and make an impact into the lives of these people in their communities.
So I obviously know this, but why do you think art and craft and these skills that these artisans have are so important to preserve? Because we could just go get some tchotchkes and do a fundraiser and sell chocolate bars and give it back, but why are we buying these bespoke things from these artisans?
Well, I think it's twofold. One, we're selling their craft, but the other is that we are helping them to preserve their culture. Because you know, even in music and your own experiences, that there has been this movement where everyone wants to be westernized. They want to emulate other cultures, but now we're seeing a reverse in that, where people are now seeing the importance of preserving their own culture. And we in the diaspora are also connecting to that culture. So we're looking to see where I come from, you know, what is the historical value of these things. We're looking for art, we're looking for the music. Even for myself, I'm looking now to find artisans, not just for AIM, but to see my history through the art work. I know in my own experience, one of the ways that as a child I connected with Africa was through their art. I had a French tutor who used to collect African arts journals and magazines. And while waiting for her, I would sit through and pour through the artwork of Benin or Kenyan artwork. And that was how I learned about the culture, was through its art. And so as a result of that, I began to understand the value of preserving that history. And what we're doing is not only purchasing items, we are now sharing culture.
Yeah.
We're sharing the history, but through the art and through the music. And we're allowing them to now develop that, where it can be not only seen there, it can be seen internationally. And that's our goal, is that AIM will become an international market, so that not only in Africa, but in Barbados and Jamaica, you can see their artwork and their culture. In some of those islands, for instance, when I was in Tortola, they were just coming out of a colonial leadership there. And so they were just starting their own flags. I went looking for artisans, and they told me, we really don't have any, because we are just now beginning to determine what that is. There was no historical artisan network there that I could connect with. I'm sure there is now, because that's been several years ago. But those are the kind of people that you and I here would never be able to see that or connect with that unless you travel there.
Right.
AIM allows us to bring all of that onto one platform, so that you can come on and you'll be able to see the art from Tortola, or the Kenyan jewelry, or the Ugandan necklaces, bags from Madagascar.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to see all of that on one platform.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to broaden it till you can see art and culture from around the world.
Yeah. Speaking of those products, one thing that we're very passionate about is fair trade and sustainability. Could you just kind of give us a quick overview about what fair trade is and why are we caring about that?
Fair trade means that we're paying people fairly for the work that they do. In a lot of those countries, even when they're selling things in the market, you and I know, they're not being paid fairly by the people that are commissioning them to do the artwork that we as tourists are purchasing from them. So we want to make sure that not only are they being paid fairly, but they're in working conditions that they deserve to be in. We have also seen the artisans working in horrific conditions to make those items that as tourists we're going to purchase.
Right.
That is our idea of being able to build AIM community centers where they can have workshops and studios and places where they can do their work and produce the work and then be paid fairly for it. And we, right now, we are operating under fair trade principles. It will take some time and years to get our full certification for that.
Right.
But we're starting out from the very beginning, making sure that we are abiding by the fair trade principles with the artisans that we're connecting with.
How has it been starting a business with your family? Because a lot of people say don't mix business and family, don't do those type of things, but how does that feel for you?
It has been wonderful to see how each person in our family has found their particular niche.
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 It's niche.
It's niche.
It's niche.
Each person in our family has found their passion in what we do. For some, it was the sports camp. Some of the young men, not only in our family, but those we took with us, found just the joy of working with those children and the athletes, and just watching each one of us take the gifts that we have and use them in different ways and in different areas. So I think the growth process for us and coming together as a family and working together has been wonderful.
Yeah. If you could tell, our customers, our new friends, one thing about AIM, about the business, about the products, whatever, what would that one thing be?
These products are made by people who are trying to share who they are with you, who are sharing their story, who are sharing their passion, who are sharing their livelihood with you, and that are inviting you to be a part of something wonderful, something awesome, and are inviting all of us to become storytellers of our own.
Thank you for watching The Spoken Thread. If you've enjoyed this conversation, feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, and share a story about how you feel like this thread has connected with you. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.